welcome back to Mandarin on Screen, where together we will learn more about Chinese phrases and expressions through watching classic Mandarin movies. Our movie today is a 2021 national hit comedy called 你好李焕英, or Hi Mom in English. It is a fictional semi-autobiography written and directed by Chinese comedian Jia Ling, who also stars as the main character in the movie. The movie begins with our grief-stricken main character, Jia Xiaoling, being transported back in time to 1981 after her mother had a fatal accident in 2001. In 1981, Jia Xiaoling becomes her mother's close friend and becomes determined to change her mother's life to have a better life this time around. 你好李焕英 was an instant hit after its release. Even today, it remains one of the highest-grossed Chinese movies. Today, we will look at 3 clips from the movie together and learn some Chinese phrases and idioms from those clips.
我不理解你，警察理解你。走。
别小声，你干嘛？咱俩关系可好了。
你少来这套！今天有话好好说，交代清楚，要不然派出所。
Our first clip takes place immediately after Jia Xiaoling traveled back to 1981, right before she meets her mom for the first time. At the beginning of the clip, the male character, Zhang Shu, thinks Jia Xiaoling is a fraud, and she tries to convince him that they're actually friends in the future. Here, she says, 咱俩关系可好了, which is translated to, you always liked me in the subtitles. Let's break this sentence down to its pieces. 咱俩 is a colloquial term for 我们两个, us two. 关系 means relationship. 可好了 means very good. Here, 可 is an adverb that means extremely. Together, this sentence means we've always had a good relationship. Or, in other words, you've always liked me. After Jia Xiaoling sees the young version of her mom, Li Huan Ying, and calls her mom, the male character, Zhang Jiang, says, 你少来这套, which means drop the act. 你少来 is best explained as stop it, or cut it off. 这套 can be translated into this action, or what you are doing right now. Usually, when we say 这套, we are talking about something so overly dramatic that it's probably fake. Here, it refers to Jia Xiaoling calling Li Huan Ying mom, which Zhang Jiang thinks is an act. Our next word, 交代清楚, is translated into confess everything in the subtitles. It consists of 2 parts. 交代, which means express, confess, or come clean. 清楚, which means clearly, is an adverb used to describe the act of 交代. Together, the word 交代清楚 means expressing everything clearly, or, in this case, confess everything. 派出所 is a colloquial term for the police station, specifically the local police station. 派出 means send out. We use this term for local stations because the officers there are sent out by a higher up level of government. It's important to note that 派出所 is probably not the kind of police station you have in mind, where there are officers catching criminals and investigating on murders. A 派出所 usually handles civil matters, such as settling disputes between neighbors or establishing someone's residency in the area.
我觉得英子也是听到了厂里的一些风言风语。我就是一个一无是处的吃瓜子弟。
那你更不应该放弃，更应该努力，让大家相信你不是一个吃瓜子弟。
我要做全场最瞩目的焦点。
咱俩的想法不谋而合。这次你打算演什么？
合唱。
合唱怎么成为全场最瞩目的焦点呢？
In this clip, we see Jia Xiaoling attempting to set up the factory manager's son with Li Huan Ying. The reason why this clip makes such a comedy classic is because the characters use several 4-word Chinese proverbs, or 成语, in quick succession. Let's take a look together. Our first word from this clip is 风言风语, which means rumors. A key word from this idiom is 风, wind. Here, it is used to describe words that just float around with no concrete proof. In Chinese, there are several phrases that express a similar meaning, like 流言蜚语 and 闲言碎语. 一无是处 is a term that means have no use at all, or have no use whatsoever. If we say a person is 一无是处, we're essentially saying the person is not good at anything. For example, 不要因为这一次考试没有考好，就觉得自己一无是处。Don't think you're not good at anything just because you didn't do well on this exam. Our next phrase is interesting because a lot of people don't actually know how to pronounce this word. In fact, even the characters in the movie said it wrong. This word is 纨绔子弟. It refers to a young man born out of a wealthy family, who doesn't really know how to handle anything himself, but also understands nothing of the daily sufferings of ordinary people. In English, this word is usually translated into dandy, playboy, or perhaps most commonly, spoiled rich kid. Our next phrase is 最瞩目的焦点. In the subtitles, this is translated into star of the show. Let's break this phrase down to its pieces. First, we have 瞩目, which means looking upon, or focusing one's attention upon. Next, 焦点 means focal point, as in the center of attention. So, if we are to say someone is 最瞩目的焦点, we're saying that everyone pays attention to this person, they're the center of attention, or the star of the show. Our last word from this clip, 不谋而合, literally means we agree without having to discuss it. In this clip, 贾小玲 says, 咱俩的想法不谋而合. I'm totally on board with you. Here, this phrase is to express that two people's thoughts are so naturally aligned that it's almost like they're syncing at the same frequency.
你喜欢儿子还是女儿？
儿子，
重男轻女呢？
但身材得随他妈呀，细溜高挑的，是不是？人嘛，总得占一头啊。表妹啊，虽然咱俩话不投机，但是自从看见你以后，我有一种莫名的亲切感。
In clip number 3, 贾小玲 sits with her parents as they talk about what they want their future child to look like. Our first phrase, 重男轻女, is translated into sexism in the subtitles. This word means valuing boys but looking down on girls, which might be a more common practice than you think in China back in the day, especially in many lower-class families where the parents are depending on a boy to carry on the family's name and legacy. Our next phrase, 细溜高挑, describes a person's posture. In this movie, it is translated into slender and tall. This phrase consists of two parts. 细溜 is a colloquial term you will likely hear in the northern regions of China. It means slim. 高挑 means tall, and specifically tall in a graceful way. So, if we are to describe someone as 细溜高挑, it's very likely that the person has the posture of a tall and composed ballerina. The phrase 占一头 also includes two parts. The verb 占, which means occupy, and the noun 一头, which means one end. Here in the clip, the father says, 人嘛，总得占一头吧. This is translated into, she, the daughter, should at least inherit one good set of genes, either the good looks or the tall, slender frame. 话不投机 is a phrase that politely expresses two people who are in disagreement, as in they don't see eye to eye. For example, 两人因话不投机，说了不到3句就吵了起来. The two of them don't see each other eye to eye and start arguing after speaking barely a few words. In the movie, the father used this phrase to describe how Jia Xiaoling and him never seem to agree on anything. Our last word from this clip, 亲切感, is a noun that expresses a sense of closeness or comfort, like two people already know each other when they've barely met. In the movie, the father says, 我有一种莫名的亲切感. I feel this strange closeness between us. With this, he means that he feels like he's known Jia Xiaoling before they've even met. You can also use 亲切感 to describe someone who is kind and approachable. For example, 他的微笑如阳光般温暖，让人感到很有亲切感. His smile is as warm as the sun, evoking a strong sense of friendliness. That's all the clips we have today from 你好李焕英. This is one of my favorite Chinese movies. It is funny, relatable, and deeply human. But most importantly, this movie captures that beautiful bond between a mother and a daughter that's universal. And I honestly cry every time I see this movie, so I definitely recommend checking it out. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you want to learn more about everyday Chinese phrases and expressions. Thank you for watching.